There we go. Let's fix this hair. I'm live. I'm live. Oh my gosh, I'm live. I haven't done this live in a long time. You guys, it's so nerve-wracking. I'm just kidding. I've been doing videos a lot more lately. A lot of different types of videos, but mostly about astrology. Hi, everybody. I'm Mandy Ray of Ecstatic Astrology, here to give you the weekly update for November 29th through December 6th. And I decided to go live because I've been pre-recording these and I lose a lot of my, I feel connected to people when they're watching it live. I really do. And so this particular week is really interesting. And so I thought, why not? Let's go live today. And I'm recording this at 5:21 p.m. November 29th, Birmingham, Alabama. And the moon is in Libra. And Libra is an energy of peace, love, fairness, beauty. We could say all kinds of things about the moon in Libra, but there's something else very special going on. And it's Mars is at the 20th degree of Scorpio, trine to Neptune at the 20th degree of Pisces. These are both water signs. Mars is our willpower, our action, our deepest desires, especially in Scorpio. And it's also the nature of how we merge with people, power balances, whether I feel empowered or disempowered. That's Scorpio. So there's a lot of passion in this area. And then when you bring it into a trine with Neptune and Pisces, which is diffusive, elusive, confusing sometimes, magical, transcendence, what we get is maybe a little laziness or a little, I don't know which direction to go, a little foggy. Okay, so that's definitely the case. And I think that's really a funny way that Neptune shows up in people's lives, especially in Pisces, but also inspiration and mysticism. And I usually say Neptune and Pisces to me feels like the archetype of the Holy Spirit, if you are familiar with that aspect of Christianity. And it's like the message you get from God. That's very Neptune and Pisces, okay? So we have almost like a door into that today, inspiration and that still small voice that speaks to you from somewhere, but maybe a little confusion, but it's definitely spiritual in nature, okay? And it's sextile. That is an aspect. It's making a degree-based aspect to Venus and Capricorn. Now, Mars is sextile to Venus and Capricorn, and Venus is sextile to Venus and Capricorn. They're making this cute little triangle. It's called a minor grand trine. Anyway, all that being said, that's all the technical stuff. It's very lucky. Venus is beauty and values, relationships, assets, okay? And in Capricorn, that's a very steady foundation. I really love Venus and Capricorn energy. We're drawing on our inner authority and our boundaries, and we know how to structure things, especially geared toward what we value. And so Venus is operating in this very mystical place as well. Sextile to Neptune, sextile to Mars, and Scorpio is very spiritual. And I hate to keep using that word, but it is. You know, it's like seeing through the veil a little bit. And what I really love about Venus and Capricorn right now is that it's visiting this place that there's been a lot of astrology happening. That's let's just say the beginning of the pandemic happened with Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto all around the same degrees of Capricorn. So Venus visiting here is very special. Venus will eventually go retrograde later this month. So it's slowing down, and we're going to have a reevaluation time in this area. Where have we restructured our lives? What are our foundations? How have those changed? Am I okay with these rules going forward? Am I okay with this structure and foundation going forward? Do I need to tweak anything? Venus and Capricorn. Okay. So very, what do I want to say? it's just a very good day for transcending and seeing what you need to do. Okay, let's just put it that way. But also can be a little bit confusing, delusional. There's always that possibility. It really depends on you and your chart and your own free will. Okay, but there's this other special minor grand trine going on, and I love it. And that's what I've seen it referred to, a minor grand trine. Mercury is sextile, trine to Chiron. And yes, sextile to Saturn, which is also sextile to Chiron. So it's making this cute little triangle. So this is the second very opportunistic, supportive, wonderful minor grand trine that we have today. Now, Mercury trine Chiron is really all about our healing, being here as we are meant to be, our authentic selves, not apologizing. This other thing's been happening in Sagittarius, also known as the solar eclipse coming. So the eclipses have been happening here. What they've been doing is deleting self-limiting narratives, changing our beliefs. What is true for me? Well, that's being changed. You know, you have to change beliefs, and maybe your truth changes whenever something like we've had go on is going on, still going on, and who knows how long it'll go on. Anyway, we have this new reality to contend with, and so we're thinking outside the box. Our inner knowing is really being kind of upended and replaced by a new truth. This trine to Chiron and Aries, which really wants us to heal our authenticity, be here as the true self we are. It's like we don't need to make apologies with Mercury trine Chiron, not for who we are. And we want to get our desires met as well. That's what Aries really is about. Both of those being sextile to Saturn and Aquarius, which is really innovating structures to support this, is like really awesome. We get to show up and be what we want to be and who we want to be. And this is really pushing the envelope. You know, there's a lot of people with career changes, and I don't want to do that anymore. I've always been told I can't do this with my career, or that maybe doing this with my career is a sellout, or whatever it is, whatever lies you've been fed about whatever you are supposed to do in the world. That's Saturn, Mercury and Sagittarius, perhaps some lies we've been fed about that. Chiron and Aries is like, wait a minute, what do you really want? That's really what matters. You're here to be you. Oh, well, now that I'm seeing it, there's a third minor grand trine with the moon trine Saturn right now, sextile to the sun and Vesta in Sagittarius and Mercury. Wow. Lots of really opportunistic stuff going on today. A bit on the abstract side. I mean, this is like a time when you might have inspiration descend on you, you know? And that's just today. We're building up to a solar eclipse. The solar eclipse is really, it's Saturday morning, December 4th. But when I say morning, I mean it's like Friday night into Saturday morning. So that's what the week is building to. And actually, I want to say this week, with all its little bitty moving parts, is ultimately a little moving part of even bigger pictures. Okay, so just this week is a small piece of the puzzle to December. And I'm actually going to do, I think, Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central, I'm going to do a December month ahead, because it's just so much. And I need to give a preview of it all for you to even understand this week and the solar eclipse and yada, yada, yada. Okay, so let's move on to Tuesday. Tuesday, the moon's still in Libra. I'm trying to look at it here. Let me pull up my notes. Tuesday, November 30th. Yeah, we're still continuing this very spiritual, transcendental, inspirational energy as Venus is making its exact sextile to Neptune Tuesday. So it's really just carrying it on into tomorrow. Like this is download and upgrade territory. And I like to say that with Neptune Pisces, the 12th house, you get downloads and upgrades, almost like an iPhone. And I hate to say that, you know, but I mean, human beings are a little bit like a machine. And sometimes we do have these spiritual, ecstatic experiences that change us. And I think right around this time is maybe not the biggest, but certainly a spiritual upgrade. The moon in Libra Tuesday, the 30th, is making a few important aspects that are building towards this throughout the day. So first, the moon squares Venus in Capricorn. And it really spurs us into action. That's what a square does. So with Venus and Capricorn, that could be like we're setting boundaries in relationships, but we realize the value in this relationship and we're okay with like tweaking something. It's all for the greater good. And then the Libra moon squares Pluto in Capricorn, which again, Capricorn, revisiting late 2019, maybe all of 2019, early 2020. And then we kind of morphed into 2021 with the Aquarius stuff. And it's just all hitting right around this time. It's very much a review and like an assessment. Okay. So any connection to Venus is going to be that. We're still talking about Tuesday, November 30th. The last thing that happens is the moon trines Jupiter as we go to bed. So this is usually big feelings. Jupiter expands, but we're talking about an air sign. So maybe more of a bird's eye view expansion of emotions. It's all in all going to be a fantastic Tuesday, I think, with the caveat of some of these squares that require action. It's still fantastic. The moon first makes connections with Venus and then Jupiter. Now, in the middle of that, it's a connection with Pluto, which is transformation though, but it's all like very, copacetic. That's a good word to use for Tuesday. So it's maybe having to work, but it's the fulfilling kind with like a goal in mind. Okay. So let's look at Wednesday, December 1st. Now we're getting into deeper waters. So rabbit, December 1st, that's what we say on the first day of the month, is still very divine, very spiritual. The moon enters Scorpio. A Scorpio is also it's like related to shamans. That's what I think of when I think of Scorpio spirituality. So Neptune, I think more of, that spiritual voice that doesn't come from a human, but Scorpio is like this deep spiritual work. A lot of times people put shadow work in the Scorpio territory. So that's the moon is in Scorpio first thing in the morning, Wednesday, December 1st. Then the bigger thing other than the eclipse this week happens on Wednesday, December 1st, right after the moon moves into Scorpio, these deep emotional waters. It's like a swamp or a lake. It's fixed water. Neptune in mutable water like fog. So I've been talking about Neptune since the beginning of this live, the beginning of this video. It is mysticism, spirituality, transcendence. Neptune stations direct on Wednesday. Now, anytime an outer planet that moves very slow stations, that means it gets still. This is astronomical. I know that a lot of people don't like to believe that astrology uses astronomy and science, but it does. I've just had it up to here with people trying to debunk astrology. It's not something to debunk. I just can't explain it any other way. It's not. It's like debunking, a novel. You don't debunk a novel if it's like telling a story. I don't want to say fiction because this stuff, although, to a certain extent, astrology can be fiction. We're writing this into reality. There is like this archetype that these things represent, but it's based on real astronomy. And Neptune is stationing direct, meaning it looks like it's going to start moving forward. Now, it doesn't really move backwards and forwards in the sky, but it looks like it because of the way our orbital paths cross. So Neptune slowing down and stationing direct in astrology has the archetype of slowness because Neptune in itself is very slow orbit. So it's like this umbrella that is over the entirety of the week. Even though this happens Wednesday, it's eerie land. It's like the circus, okay? It's like magicians and maybe clown cars, things of that nature. That's really what this whole week feels like. I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, maybe we'll go with the more ashram example and say meditation and things of that nature, creativity for certain. But Neptune stationing direct really dominates the week, as well as the solar eclipse on Friday. I mean, Saturday, Friday into Saturday, really. And so it's like a lot of these fated archetypes and thin veil and inspiration and like the abstract, our belief, our truth, beliefs or opinions, all of that. Okay. So Neptune stationing direct is really a big deal, not only for us on a micro, but for the collective on a macro. It does lift the veil a little bit, I would think. Maybe some things we've been delusional about just get ripped away, especially with the solar eclipse coming in Sagittarius. But the other thing is, during this Neptune stationing direct, Venus is interacting in a sextile by degree. Mars is pretty close. It's just moved past its exact trine to Neptune. So it's not just stationing direct and it's by itself. It's stationing direct and connecting with personal planets. Okay. So that dominates Wednesday, I would think. Especially with the moon in a water sign and Mars in a water sign. Like, we are having a lot of emotions, a lot of insights, creativity. I could just say those words over and over. It doesn't matter. Let's see what else happens on Wednesday. It's mysterious. That's another word I want to use. Like wonder, mystery, all of that is under Neptune's realm. And it's definitely under Sagittarius as well, where the solar eclipse is happening. Speaking of the solar eclipse, let me just say Wednesday the 1st, the moon does, okay, I do need to talk about this before I go into solar eclipse territory. Wednesday night, Saturn and Uranus are getting closer to squaring. They square exactly for the third and final time, December 24th. But on Wednesday night, the moon is in Scorpio and it will square Saturn and oppose Uranus. This makes a T-square, just like this. Okay, so imagine the moon, Uranus, what's at the T? Saturn. This has a lot to do with what parts of us need stability, what rules we want to subscribe to, what structure we hold on to, and where we need to liberate ourselves, where we need freedom. The moon activates the Scorpio part, which is our deepest desires and personal empowerment. So I would just pay attention. What part of me needs stability? What part of me needs liberation? How does that all come together? And I get my desires met. Yeah, that is active again all month, which is why I'm doing the December ahead webinar or live stream, whatever you want to call it, Wednesday, December 1st. I'm going to do that actually during this very interesting Neptune station direct. So now we can go into solar eclipse territory. Thursday, December 2nd, the moon is on its way to getting darker. It will be a new moon. That's what a solar eclipse is. The moon blocks out the light of the sun from getting to Earth, or it's a shadow, whatever you want to call it. It's a new moon generally. And this is a south node solar eclipse. And Thursday morning, the moon gets darker. It's not quite in Sagittarius yet, but it is basically losing its light. So we do call this a dark moon, and it will meet Mars first. I do believe that's the first. No, it sextiles Venus first, then it meets Mars. Okay, either way, they're so close. It's like bam, bam. So the moon in Scorpio makes a connection to Venus. After Wednesday's T-square that evening with Saturn, Moon, Uranus, which could enlighten us. This is like, okay, now what do we do? And the sextile to Venus is very helpful. It's like we're able to evaluate the territory. And then the moon conjoins Mars, and this is how we act on it. So that's very awesome, I think, and helpful. Keep in mind, those still are very close to that connection with Neptune as well. So we're still under this umbrella of the mystery, wonder, inspiration, that still small voice that talks to you. Okay. So I think, it's like, I will say this, Moon Mars can be tense. Mars is action, Moon is emotion. So what we're talking about is an emotional exacerbation of whatever is going on, right? And we might lash out. It's like we really want to act on our emotions during this. But with Venus there in Capricorn and Neptune there, it kind of like diffuses that a little bit. So that's nice. And we can really stay grounded in this Venus and Capricorn. I think it's very important to reason things out. And also act from a place of our own value and our own authority and our own boundaries. And if we keep that in mind and we keep compassion in our heart, that Moon Mars should not be so difficult Thursday, December 2nd. Later in the evening, the moon sextiles Pluto in Capricorn. So this is still similar energy, right? But then it squares Jupiter in Aquarius, like as we go to sleep, at least in Central Time, which is where I do this from. And this is an excited nervousness, I think. Moon in Scorpio squared Jupiter in Aquarius. Again, we have another benefic being squared. It's not super negative, but it requires action. And it's like there needs to be, there's an adventure we're about to embark on with this Facebook, Jupiter. I was looking at Facebook. Is anyone joining me? One person. Hey. Okay. Let me go back to it. Excited nervousness. That's what I was talking about. And here I am with my excited nervousness. So yeah, that does Thursday, December 2nd. Now what? We're on to Friday, December 3rd and solar eclipse territory. See, I would have re-recorded this whole video, by the way, if I wasn't doing this live. I would have stopped it there just because I messed up one word. So that's another reason for me doing this live today, because I need to just go for it. Friday, December 3rd, early in the morning, the moon moves into Sagittarius. This immediately activates the South Node solar eclipse, new moon. Immediately. So yes, while it won't be exactly the new moon solar eclipse until about 1:45 a.m. Central Time, it's already active first thing when we wake up, because it hits the South Node. The South Node is exactly what makes an eclipse an eclipse. So we're already under the eclipse territory Friday morning. It's really a good day. And I know it's Friday, so people may still be working. But it doesn't matter. It's a good time to be quiet or mindful. Like no matter what you're doing, try to pay attention. Solar eclipses are always looked at as fated events. So things could come into our lives, leave our lives. With the South Node, it's generally karmic past. People from the past may show up. Maybe we are trying to do away with something. What that something is a limiting narrative, a storyline, something we know. So Sagittarius is really loaded with philosophical archetypes. It's the sage, the seer, the guru, the all-knowing wise teacher. Okay. But the invitation for this solar eclipse, and indeed Friday morning as we wake up, is, it's not to know or to believe or to see. It is to do away with all that we think we know, that we think we believe, and that we think we see. We're doing away with it, because no matter what, if you are holding on to a belief, you're limiting yourself in some way. It's just the truth. If you are defined by truth, you are defined by that truth. So this is making way for the new story, for a new knowing, but we have to first listen and hear. And so that's why I say it's a good day. We're talking about Friday, December 3rd, to be quiet, to pay attention, to be mindful. So like watching the movements of animals and taking note of synchronicity. Someone says the same word. It's a word you don't hear very often, you know, like kerfluffle, and they say it 8 times, different people, right? Why are they all saying kerfluffle? Pay attention to that. You may think it's ridiculous, but I really think it's telling when we have these synchronicities in our lives. There is a message there. So I would also mind my body, because Mars is very close to square. It's applying, meaning it's building towards a square with Jupiter in Aquarius. And Mars is our body. And so, in fact, I might say that for the whole week with the Neptune action. It's like, don't get into something that's going to hurt you. It's just my, like advice, I guess, be careful. Don't go, I don't know, skateboarding if you hadn't skateboarded in 15 years. Probably not a good week for that. That's all I'm saying, okay? It can feel a little heavy. Let me put it this way. Because the South Node is karmic past, we can be dealing with things that we're confronted with in order to realize they don't define us anymore, okay? So you may be confronted with a truth that has always been a truth, but you're realizing that is no longer my truth. And it's okay to change it, but that can be a little heavy to deal with. That's most of Friday. So yeah, the solar eclipse happens while we're sleeping. So by the way, again, all week, we're going to apply this to all week. It is very dream world active. We're going to dream. I had a wild dream last night. We were already dealing with this. I'm recording this on Monday, the 29th, and we're already in this Neptune bubble. Okay. This solar eclipse portal, if you will. And so my dreams have already been really active. They should be all week. I would pay attention to those as well. So don't do like I did and tell yourself you're going to write it down and then not write it down. Actually write it down. Saturday, December 4th, when we wake up, the eclipse is over. But it's still very much overshadowing everything, because even though the eclipse is over, the moon's still in Sagittarius, and then it hits Mercury first thing after the eclipse when we wake up. And that's helpful, but until the moon gets a certain amount away, I want to say like, what is it, 15 degrees? Basically, until the moon reaches Capricorn, we're in this shadow place of the moon. So even though the moon's hitting Mercury, which is a little bit of a jolt to the mind, it's still quiet. So keep your minds open to insights from external or internal sources. It's gonna come from everywhere. You may have a feeling that comes up and your mind goes, pay attention to that feeling. It may be someone saying something to you. Either way, it's like really just observe, be the observer if you can, because it's important. After lunch, the moon makes a square to Neptune and sextiles to Jupiter. That really turns up the strange knob again. This whole week is really, I'm really excited to hear stories. Like after this week is over, if you guys have some interesting happenings, whether it be an inspiration you had or something you didn't expect that was almost creepy, or like, I don't know what. Neptune really is everything. So it just, Saturday after lunch, when the moon squares Neptune and then sextiles Jupiter, it's like extra, the strange dial. So it won't be a typical Saturday. I mean, you're in solar eclipse territory, Neptune's involved. It's just like the circus. But it's a great day to write, create, and ponder the mysteries of life. It's a great day for that. Sunday, December 5th, the moon moves into Capricorn early in the morning. Thank goodness, because then we're out officially from under the solar eclipse territory. I'm not looking forward to the solar eclipse. It's just something to revere, I think, something to honor. It just is in my estimation. So I guess if you're watching this, you're getting my opinion, my belief. And so I think that it may not be the best time to like I'm not saying not be playful, but there's just a certain reverence I think the weekend has for this solar eclipse. But then when the moon moves into Capricorn, it's like, oh, we're out of it. That's Sunday morning. So Friday, Saturday, quiet, contemplative. Sunday, all right, we're in Capricorn. We're not super emotional with the moon in Capricorn. It's a little bit detached. It's a earth sign. It's opposite of the moon's home in Cancer. So it's not as ooey gooey. So it can be a little cold with the moon in Capricorn, but Mars, which is our willpower, is really charged because it's got its sights set on connections with Pluto. Pluto is power and transformation, and Mars will sextile Pluto. I believe, when is that? Let's see. Exactly, Mars sextile Pluto. Well, it's building Sunday, definitely. It's very close to hitting the degree. And I think it hits the exact degree Sunday night. Yeah, into Monday. So this is a Sunday into Monday aspect. It really builds Sunday. So Pluto is power. And in Capricorn, that is who or what has authority over me. With Mars and Scorpio sextile that, it's an opportunity to really enact our own transformation at the core of who we are. We're presented with a chance to step into our power. And it's like, well, you take it. Do you have what it takes? Do I want this? Whatever it is. That's Sunday. Now, the other thing that's building is Venus is moving towards a conjunction with Pluto. It gets closer and closer. It's also building Sunday into Monday. Monday, December 6th, we wake up with Mars exactly sextile Pluto. Venus's exact sextile to Pluto, or sorry, conjunction with Pluto is not until later on in the week. However, with the moon in Capricorn on Monday, December 6th, it like hurries it along because the moon meets Venus and like is right in the middle of Venus and Pluto. So this is kicking off the Venus-Pluto, the Vino. Maybe we have some wine. Venus-Pluto conjunction. And that is later in the evening. When is that? Yeah, like I want to say around 7 o'clock Central Time. So this is a decision. We will probably change something or become aware of the need to change something in relationships or finances or assets or values or even that whole what has authority? What do I allow to have authority over me? So self-worth as well with Venus being there. So this is like claiming your worth, whether it be to another person or to a situation. And this moon Venus Pluto conjunction really kicks off the whole Venus Pluto thing. Now on a bigger scale, Venus conjoins Pluto and then turns around retrograde, conjoins Pluto again, goes all the way back to the beginning of Capricorn, and then comes back and meets Pluto for a third time. So we're going to get 3 instances of this Venus Pluto conjunction. So note, Monday, December 6th, it's the kickoff, okay? Moon, Venus, Pluto. We're going to need to remember that date for issues of authority, for values, for relationships and finances, okay? The other thing active Monday, December 6th is Mars starts to apply to its square with Jupiter. Again, that's exact later in the week. However, it is building by this Monday. Mars squared Jupiter. Oh, you know, Mars is our will and what we want and how we enact what we want. Jupiter in Aquarius is it's our belief, it's our truth, and it really might heighten the need to go above and beyond and almost like take action on this grand scale, maybe to your detriment because it is a square. I mean, but if we need to get something done, this is the day for it, this day, and then maybe Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm talking about the 7th and 8th now. but it still can make you like act in a grandiose way. So I would just watch that. But especially with Venus Pluto, there's going to be a lot of like proclaiming my worth to people on Monday, December 6th. And then, of course, we're on the upswing from that solar eclipse. So things build from here. And now I want to remind you, I'm doing a month ahead because December is so full. I'm doing a month ahead on Wednesday at 1 p.m. I have it on my website. You can add it to your calendar. I'm also going to do a 2022 year ahead. That is December 28th. That is available again on my website, in my blog. You can see it. I'll put up the thing somewhere else, yada, yada. I'll put up the links everywhere. But before I let you go, I want to tell you about the solar eclipse themes for everybody. These aren't up on my blog yet, but I will type these up after I'm done uploading everything. This is why I have to take off Mondays. It takes a long time. Aries rising. The solar eclipse is in your 9th house. This is truly, truly about your truth and belief, okay? This is truly, truly letting go of maybe a vision that you had that you were really committed to, okay? But it may not be yours to be committed to. It may have been something that was put on you that you felt the need to do because someone said something to you and it made you believe something about yourself that was negative. This is a change of truth and belief for you for sure. Perhaps also the way you relate to adventure and your overall plan for reality, what you believe reality is. Aries rising, this is a very big solar eclipse for you. You are letting go of something you believe or a limiting narrative that has been just like fundamentally put into you. And this may also have a lot to do with what you believe you can achieve. Okay. Taurus rising, solar eclipse is in your 8th house, how you share your resources. Maybe you believed that you, in order to be in a relationship or a business partnership, needed to give so much of yourself. That belief needs to change, okay? Also, maybe you have had the prior belief that, you are not empowered or that you don't have power. I'm thinking of 8th house stuff here, which is where the solar eclipse is happening for you. 8th house rules other people's money, inheritance, contracts, business partnerships, basically marriage contracts, how I decide to enter into a partnership with someone. And that could be through your own decision or through something that was put on you in this life. Okay, so it's also about your empowerment. This solar eclipse is clearing out limiting narratives about how much you can be empowered and how much you're worth in those relationships. It really is, especially with Mercury trying to Chiron in your 12th house, about a fundamental change of belief for you, maybe even spiritual. Okay, Gemini risings, this is in your area of relationships. So either a self-limiting narrative you've had about relationships, about how you relate to other people or relate to something in your life, but it's definitely getting rid of self-limiting narratives there and also clearing out a path to have a new belief or a new truth with regarding relationships. And also friendships and your community at large. I'm only including that because Chiron's in your 11th house. So also goals you have for yourself. That's what the Sag eclipse is clearing out for you. Cancer rising, this is in your area of daily life, routine, what you do for work and health. Okay, I'm a Cancer rising. I can speak to this. I've had in between these eclipses, for the last 6 months, a lot of health anxiety, routine adjustments, nothing working out. So I am ready to let go of the beliefs I have about how my daily life has to go, how I have to do routine or not do routine, and how I view my body, things of that nature. So that's what this solar eclipse is clearing out for you. Chiron is in your 10th house of career and public reputation. So this is very much career related for you as well, Cancer rising. Believe if you can believe it, you can achieve it. All right, so Leo rising. This is in your 5th house. The 5th house is children, creativity, your purpose, what you love, how you have fun. And there is a limiting narrative or belief that's being cleared out for Leo risings there. Maybe you believe you always had to have, you know, if you were going to have fun creating, you had to do it with oil paints, and you're never going to create anything unless it's oil paint based. And maybe that narrative is changing and you're branching out into watercolors. And I know that might seem ridiculous, okay? But to me, it's not. To me, that's exactly how these things turn out. So something with creativity and how you express yourself to the world. That's what the solar eclipse is doing. Okay. Chiron's in your 9th house of adventure. So you're destined for some creative adventure, it looks like. And that's just something I came up with. You're welcome, Leo rising. Virgo rising. This solar eclipse is in your 4th house, which is home, family, roots, also emotional security. So there is some belief, truth, self-limiting narrative that you are getting rid of in terms of home, maybe what your home looks like, feels like. Maybe you've done a lot of work on your home over in this eclipse cycle, and you're like, okay, now it's right. Now I can let go of this fixation on my home and family. Chiron's in your 8th house of inheritance and shared resources and business partnerships, how you share yourself with others. So maybe you're also finally able to feel like you can be yourself in your home, in your partnerships. And that is opening up some new level of emotional security for you. And that was for Virgo rising. All right, now we're going to Libra rising for the solar eclipse. This is in your 3rd house. This is the way you make decisions. This is the way you communicate and how you interact with your community. The way you communicate is likely undergoing a massive shift. Maybe some event has changed. You're like, I need to change the way I either assert myself or communicate what I know to people. Now, Chiron's in your 7th house of relationships. So there is a lot of healing you're having to do in that area. And these two are related. How you speak your truth to the people that you are intimately involved with, maybe how your relationships affect your decision making and communication. Okay, these two things are what the solar eclipse is about for you. All right, for Scorpio rising, this is in your 2nd house of finances and values. What is it worth, Scorpio rising? That's what I want to know. What is it worth? Do you continue on this path? Is it worth it? Is it worth you throwing your money at? Is it worth you throwing your time at? Or do you change it up a bit? That's up to you. There is some narrative that has been especially active over the last 6 months in your values, self-worth, and finances area, whether it be self-limiting beliefs, you know, a fixation on something. That is changing and being cleared out. You have to allow yourself to do that, though. And Scorpios can be pretty fixed, right? Pretty stubborn. Chiron and Aries in your 6th house is saying, maybe do some healing about how you show up every day and your rituals in your body and your health. That's what your focus needs to be on. That's what you need to be showing is worth something to you. Okay, your own health, but also how much you are worth is directly related to how you treat yourself, both in your stress levels. Like I'm really getting that from the Scorpio risings that I know, like what is, you know, making you so stressed out, and is it worth holding on to or even being a part of? Okay. All right, Sagittarius rising. This is all about you and your identity and who you are and how you show up in the world. This is in your 1st house, which is you, yourself, your authenticity, and you are clearing out old narratives about who you are, what you're doing in the world, what your truth is. Now, Chiron is in your 5th house of what you find fun, creativity, children, inner child. And so it really is inviting a bit of play into your life, you know, like maybe you don't have to be the guru for everyone. Maybe you can just play. That being said, you also need to be creating in some way, I think. And showing your true self. What do you find actually fun? Show it to people. You know, it's like being that person to everybody else. A lot of times Sag risings show up as the guru. And maybe it's time to take a step back and say, maybe the way I'm a guru is by being myself. Gee, you are you. Okay, Capricorn rising. This is in your 12th house, which is the place of spiritual reset, dreams, transcendence, mysticism. So you are really letting go of something spiritually, right? Some spiritual truth you had has been being cleared out. Chiron is in your 4th house of home and family, and you've been doing a lot of healing work there, okay? I think the solar eclipse has a lot to do with emotional security and the closing of a chapter for you in your home and family area. And then being able to spiritually reset. All right, so Aquarius rising, this is in the area of goals and networking for you. What limiting beliefs do you have surrounding your goals? What storyline are you attached to a fault? You need to let go of it. It's time to change, clear it out. We are having a new storyline come into play, both for my goals and for the groups I'm in. Chiron's in your 3rd house. And that is how you make decisions and communicate your truth. So you're really communicating who you are to the outside world, to your groups, truly showing up authentically in every relationship. And definitely when you put yourself out there, maybe you need to remember to put yourself out there as a leader, or maybe you've always been the leader. You're an Aquarius rising after all. Maybe it's about taking it back to what you desire, or taking it back to, I need to rethink some stuff and listen to my networking. And listen, because Chiron is in the 3rd house. That really requires you to listen and to hear what other people are saying. But that doesn't mean you should change who you are. It is just opening your mind to see many different perspectives in reality. And that will in turn change your goals and change that group of people that you belong to. Okay. Pisces rising. This is in your 10th house of career. And you are letting go of some self-limiting narratives in career. Let me tell you what, and public reputation. You are not being told anymore what you can and cannot be in the world. Chiron's in your 2nd house of self-worth and finances and assets, and that is really undergoing this deep healing process. And your career is only going to benefit from it, especially if you can let go of some belief, some narrative, like this is who I am in my career. Maybe it's not. Maybe who you are in your career is something else. And if you open up to that and just maybe show what you feel like you're worth to people, that will open up in a new way. There is the North Node in your 4th house, some new storyline coming in home and family that is going to, I think, pump that up a notch, right? Like, when you feel very taken care of in other places, you don't feel as driven to some things in the outside world. And so there's a balancing act coming into play, all based on healing that you're doing of your own self-worth. Okay, let me check on my Facebook. Let's see. I can't really see any comments, but that's okay. I will upload this to YouTube, and I will love to see you guys, hopefully for Wednesday for my month ahead, and then for December 28th, my year ahead. Like, share, and subscribe. I hope you all have a good evening. Mwah!